They didn't protect you. They studied you. While you were playing with toys, someone was watching, silently shaping what you would believe about love, loyalty, and trust. That wasn't parenting. That was programming. From the moment you were old enough to feel hurt, someone close to you learned how to hide their guilt behind your confusion. They trained you to doubt yourself before you ever doubted them. That's not care, that's control. And the worst part, it came from people who claim to love you. There's no need to guess who the enemy is. Look around your childhood, trace the patterns. The cold stares after you cried too loud. The sudden change in tone when you asked too many questions. The way the house always felt different when you walked into the room, like the air was holding its breath. These weren't accidents, they were rehearsed. And you were the main character in a story where everyone else was reading a script you never got to see. This isn't paranoia, it's clarity. You've been a target since the beginning, not because of weakness, but because of your light. Your silence was their safety net. Your innocence was their hiding place. When the chosen ones are born, the attacks begin quietly, not with war, with silence. A silence so heavy it hums in your memories. Do you remember that moment when you realized you were different? That you saw through things other kids didn't even notice? That wasn't imagination. That was your awakening. And your family noticed. They noticed before you did. They didn't need words. They saw the way you questioned, the way your eyes stayed open longer than theirs ever could. So they responded the only way scared people do. They dimmed the light. Or at least they tried to. And if you've made it this far, then you're part of the mission. Smash that like button and subscribe right now. That's how we make sure this message reaches every other chosen one still out there, half awake, half broken, waiting for someone to say the words they've been feeling for years. Let's amplify this truth together. And now, back to it. The moment you stopped accepting fake smiles and family lies, everything changed. You began noticing the difference in their voices when you succeeded. You saw the delay in their applause. That wasn't love. That was monitoring, watching to see if their plans still worked, if the programming was still in place. But when you started healing, you interrupted their system. You were never meant to become strong, not in their version of the story. You were supposed to play the role of the black sheep, the broken one, the too sensitive kid who couldn't take a joke. But something inside you didn't die. It just waited. It waited until the trauma lost its power and the truth started screaming louder than the lies. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was strategic. This is deeper than one bad memory. This is a pattern, a system, a silent contract that generations signed with a nod and a locked door. And you're the one breaking it. That's why it hurts so much. That's why they act like you're the problem. You're not. You're the evidence. You're living proof that a cycle is ending, and they hate that kind of truth. Think back to those quiet moments when you felt like something was wrong, but couldn't explain it. The room would go silent after you walked in. Conversations would stop. Or worse, they'd pretend nothing happened. That tension, that shift, that was them reacting to your spirit, not your mistakes. You didn't ruin anything, you revealed it. There's power in seeing the truth, but there's war in speaking it. And that's what this message is, a declaration, a reminder that you are not crazy, you are not too sensitive, you are not imagining things, you are remembering. And when chosen ones remember, systems fall, secrets crack, masks slip. They will say you're overreacting, they will say it's all in the past. They'll call it healing, but what they really mean is silence, because your healing is their exposure. And every step you take forward is another truth they can't bury. But you didn't come this far to bury yourself. You were chosen because you carry the strength to walk through the fire and come out with your truth still intact. Not because you're perfect, but because you're relentless. You question what they told you not to question. You look where they told you not to look. And now you know what they prayed you'd never remember. So this is your moment, not to fight them, but to free yourself. To stop trying to be understood by people who built their peace on your silence. To stop shrinking in rooms where your presence has always made them uncomfortable. You are not the disturbance. You are the awakening. And once you awaken, you never go back to sleep. So now, take a breath. Because what comes next isn't easy to hear. If you've ever felt like the outsider in your own home, like something invisible was working against you since the very beginning, this part is for you. You're not paranoid, and you're not broken. You've simply been surrounded by people who feared what you would become once you saw the truth. But today, that ends. This is where you reclaim your story, piece by piece, truth by truth. Before we go deeper, I want you to prove to yourself that you're ready for what's coming. Type, "I'm awake," in the comments, not for me, but as a promise to yourself that you won't run from the truth anymore. Because after this, there's no going back. And if you're still here, that means the message was meant for you. The universe doesn't pull you toward words like these by accident. So stay with me, step by step, moment by moment. Because what you're about to hear next will connect every dot they never wanted you to see. Let's begin the unraveling. Number 1. They hurt you because they feared you, not because you were weak. They wanted to break you before you realized you were unbreakable. The truth always cuts deeper than revenge. It's the one weapon the enemy never learns to defend against. The people who once smiled at your pain and disguised their cruelty as care are now running from the echo of their own actions. They don't fear your anger, they fear your clarity. Because once you see what they did for what it truly was, every lie they ever built begins to rot in the open air. They pretended it was your fault, your attitude, your overreaction, your so-called sensitivity. But deep down, they knew exactly what they were doing. They needed to silence you before you saw the machinery behind their masks. They needed to convince you that love could coexist with manipulation. That betrayal was just misunderstanding. That silence meant peace. But it was all strategy. A way to keep you doubting your own perception while they sharpened their guilt behind closed doors. Some of them paid for what they did. Maybe life caught up with them in small, ironic ways. Failed relationships, empty homes, a loneliness that no distraction can fill. But let's be honest, none of it balances the scale. Because their punishment never mirrored your pain. You carried years of confusion, insomnia, anxiety, and trust issues that were born out of their selfishness. They might have lost people, money, or reputation. But you lost time. Time you can't get back. And that is a wound no apology can close. But here's the part they never understood. What they did didn't destroy you. It forged you. Every tear became data. Every betrayal became proof. Every insult became instruction. You learned their tactics better than they did. You learned how they lie, how they deflect, how they rewrite history. You learned how the enemy hides not behind shadows, but behind smiles. You learned that evil doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it tucks you in at night and calls itself family. And yet, here you are, still standing, breathing, healing. That's what terrifies them the most. Not your anger, not your story, but your evolution. Because when you heal, you make their control useless. When you speak, you unravel their legacy of silence. When you live freely, you expose the illusion they built to keep you trapped. That's why they still whisper your name in bitterness. That's why they pretend not to notice your growth, while secretly watching every move you make. You've become their reminder, the one they can't erase. It's not justice you're seeking anymore, it's peace. But peace doesn't come from forgetting. It comes from understanding exactly what was done and why. These individuals, the ones who targeted you, used you, studied your reactions, they acted from fear. They saw something in you they couldn't replicate: authenticity, realness, an unfiltered connection to truth. They mistook that for weakness because their entire existence depended on pretending. And when a pretender meets the genuine, their mask starts to crack. So they struck first. They called you dramatic, unstable, ungrateful. They told others stories about you before you could speak your truth. They needed to frame the narrative early, to poison the well, to make sure that if you ever found your voice, people would already doubt it. It's the oldest tactic in the book. Discredit the truth-teller so the lie can live longer. But lies always rot faster than they expect. And now, every secret they kept from you is crumbling. You may wonder, do they feel guilt? Do they know what they've done? Maybe. But guilt requires a conscience, and not everyone grows one. Some people will go to their graves defending their illusion of innocence. They'll convince themselves you were too sensitive, that they did their best, that you misunderstood. Don't waste your energy proving otherwise. The universe saw everything. The energy they used to harm you is the same energy now working to isolate them. The truth is, their downfall doesn't need to be orchestrated by you. It's already happening, slowly, silently, inevitably. Because life has a way of handing back the weight they gave you. And while they're busy carrying it, you're learning to fly without it. That's what real power looks like. The quiet revenge of becoming untouchable. You see, they never prepared for your awakening. They thought their manipulation would last forever because it always had. They never imagined the day you'd look at them and see the pattern, the repetition of lies, the rehearsed apologies, the recycled excuses. They underestimated the moment you'd stop reacting and start observing. Because when a chosen one observes instead of reacts, the game ends. The enemy loses its favorite weapon, your confusion. Now you move with awareness. You choose peace over chaos. You respond with distance instead of defense. You protect your energy like sacred currency. And this newfound calm, it eats them alive. Because the greatest punishment for those who thrived on your pain is watching you live joyfully without their permission. But don't mistake this strength for coldness. It's not bitterness, it's evolution. You're not closing your heart, you're reclaiming it. You're not avoiding confrontation, you're refusing contamination. Every boundary you set is a monument to your survival. Every silent walk away is a victory. Every tear that no longer falls for them is a prayer answered by the universe itself. You might still ask, why me? The answer is brutal but liberating, because your soul was strong enough to survive what would have destroyed others. Because your story isn't just about pain, it's about purpose. The same people who tried to break you were unknowingly shaping your resistance. The storm they sent to drown you became the ocean you now command. So, chosen one, hear this, you owe them nothing. Not your forgiveness, not your explanation, not your access. Their actions were theirs to own, not yours to heal. You don't need closure from those who built their comfort on your suffering. The only closure you need is the moment you stop looking back. Because once you stop revisiting the ruins, the universe starts building your palace. They thought they buried you, but they didn't realize you were soil, not seed. Everything they did to break you only planted something deeper, stronger, unshakable. You are the proof that light can bloom from betrayal. You are the consequence of their cruelty. You are the echo that keeps them awake at night, reminding them that every choice they made against you only built the legend of your strength. And that's the weight of their actions, not the guilt they refused to carry, but the legacy they accidentally created, you. Number 2, breaking the chains they built around you. They caged your spirit long before you knew it could fly. The chains were never metal. They were made of guilt, silence, and false love. They called it protection, but it was possession. The day you stop apologizing for surviving is the day you begin to live. There comes a moment when pretending no longer works, when the lies collapse under their own weight, and you realize you've been carrying a story that was never yours to hold. This is that moment. The air feels different when truth starts to surface. It's heavier, sharper, yet strangely liberating. It tastes like the first breath after years underwater. You've been trapped in invisible chains, not made of iron, but of manipulation, guilt, and half-truths woven by people who were supposed to love you. They taught you to mistake their control for care, their silence for peace, their approval for safety. But deep down, a quiet rebellion was always alive inside you, waiting for this very second. The second you decide that enough is enough. Imagine this. You're standing in a room filled with mirrors, but every reflection is slightly distorted. One shows you smaller than you are, another makes your eyes look uncertain, another hides your scars. For years, you believed those mirrors were accurate, but now you realize they were placed there by someone else. Your family built them. Each reflection was designed to keep you doubting yourself, questioning your worth, making sure you never saw the full truth. And yet, even in that maze of illusions, there was always a flicker of defiance, the unspoken knowing that you were more than what they told you to be. You ask, why would they do this? Why would people who claim to love me build such a cage? The answer is brutal control. Some families aren't built on love, they're built on hierarchy, secrecy, and fear. They pass down manipulation like an heirloom, pretending it's wisdom. They keep their children small, so they never have to face their own inadequacy. Your light made them uncomfortable, your independence made them insecure, and your awareness made you dangerous. So they tried to keep you tame, feeding you doubt while calling it discipline, giving you guilt while naming it gratitude. But you've outgrown their system. The universe has waited patiently for this moment, the moment you stop inheriting pain and start creating peace. What's unfolding now isn't a punishment, it's liberation disguised as discomfort. Every memory resurfacing, every realization hitting like a wave, every tear you're shedding right now, it's all part of the cleansing. You're not breaking down, you're breaking open. Imagine this, a bird born in a cage doesn't realize it's trapped until it sees another bird flying. The first flap of freedom feels terrifying, unnatural even, because for so long, confinement felt like safety. That's where you are right now, standing at the edge of your own cage, wings trembling, mind torn between loyalty to your pain and curiosity about your potential. The fear isn't a warning, it's confirmation. It means you're close. Your family's web, that tangle of expectations, guilt, and unspoken rules, was spun with precision. Each thread was designed to pull you back when you tried to grow. Don't question us. Don't embarrass us. Don't change. But the truth doesn't obey family traditions. The truth arrives like fire, burning, cleansing, unapologetic. It doesn't ask for permission to exist, and neither should you. You might feel guilt rising as you read this, that whisper saying, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe they didn't mean it. That's part of the trap. Guilt was their favorite leash. They fed it to you so often that now it echoes in your own voice. But remember, recognizing manipulation isn't betrayal. Protecting your peace isn't rebellion. It's survival. The moment you stop defending your abuser, healing begins. They may call you cold for pulling away. They'll accuse you of being selfish, dramatic, even heartless. But those are just the words of people losing their control. You are not obligated to keep ties that strangle you. You don't have to return to the fire just because it once felt like home. This is your time to draw the line, to say, the cycle ends with me. Imagine this, you're walking through an old house filled with memories. Every room smells like the past, laughter that wasn't real, apologies that came too late, and the faint echo of arguments you were blamed for. You walk through it slowly, touching the walls, remembering every version of yourself that once lived here. Then you open the front door. Outside the air is cold, but it's real. The world feels wider. That's freedom. And though your knees may shake, you keep walking, because even uncertainty is better than living under someone else's spell. You might ask, but how do I move forward when they're still my family? The answer is one of the hardest truths you'll ever accept. Blood may connect you, but it doesn't define you. Connection without respect is captivity. Family without honesty is fiction. You're allowed to grieve the illusion while building something real. You're allowed to love them from a distance while protecting your peace up close. The universe isn't asking you to hate them, only to stop sacrificing yourself for their comfort. Every time you shrink to fit their expectations, you dishonor the strength you've earned. Every time you excuse their cruelty, you silence the child inside you who begged for protection and never got it. The past doesn't get to own your future unless you hand it the keys. The chains of the past can only hold you if you still believe they're real. It's okay to seek help, a counselor, a mentor, a voice of reason that isn't tangled in your family's web. Healing isn't isolation, it's restoration. You're not doing this alone. The universe always sends allies once you decide to step out of the fog. And yes, there will be nights you feel lost, questioning if freedom was worth the cost. It was, because even loneliness in truth is gentler than belonging built on lies. Imagine this, a storm finally ends after years of thunder. The ground is drenched, the air still hums with electricity, and everything feels unfamiliar. That's healing. Messy, raw, unpredictable. But look closely. Sprouts are pushing through the soil, new life forming in places where devastation once ruled. That's you, the chosen one rebuilding from ashes they thought would bury you. So breathe. Let the past scream behind you. Its voice gets weaker every step you take. The same energy that once chained you is now fueling your rise. You don't need revenge. Your peace is the revenge. You don't need validation. Your evolution is the proof. The family web may have shaped your pain, but it no longer defines your identity. You are no longer the child they silenced. You are the adult who remembers, reclaims, and rebuilds. And when you look back one last time, you'll see the truth. Those chains were never locked. They only held because you believed they could. Now they fall away. This is your rebirth. This is your freedom. This is the moment the hunted becomes the untouchable. Number 3, the reckoning of healing, where the cycle finally breaks. They wounded you to control you, but healing is the rebellion they never prepared for. Every scar you heal is a story they can no longer rewrite. Healing isn't soft. It isn't candles, mantras, or warm sunlight on an open field. Healing is war, fought in silence, in tears, in the sleepless hours when memories replay like broken records. It's not about uncovering what they did. It's about reclaiming what they took, your peace, your trust, your reflection. The path to healing begins when you stop asking why they hurt you and start asking why you kept forgiving them. That shift, that moment of self-confrontation, is the real beginning of freedom. Imagine this. Your life is a field scattered with glass. Every step forward cuts, but each wound teaches you where not to step again. You learn the shape of your pain, the rhythm of your triggers, and the silence of your strength. The more you move, the less it hurts, not because the glass disappears, but because you learn how to walk with awareness. That's healing, not the absence of pain, but the mastery of it. You might wonder, why me? Why did my own blood turn cold? The answer isn't in your weakness, it's in your light. Some souls can't stand the reflection of truth. They hide behind manipulation because honesty burns them. You were born different, and difference always threatens those built on imitation. Their envy wasn't random, it was recognition. They saw your potential before you did. That's why they tried to silence it early, to weaken the voice that would one day speak the truth they spent their lives avoiding. But here's the beauty, the cycle ends with you. Their hate cannot survive in your awareness. The chain snaps the moment you stop reacting to their guilt. You don't owe the past your loyalty. You owe your future your courage. Healing isn't forgetting them, it's outgrowing them. It's looking at the storm and realizing you no longer need to survive it because you've become it. So breathe. You are exactly where the universe intended you to be, standing on the edge of your new life, holding the pieces they once shattered, now shaped into a crown. The storm that made you bleed is the same force that will make you rise. The cycle doesn't continue. It ends right here with you. Number 4. When the universe starts speaking, reading the signs they tried to hide. What you call coincidence, the universe calls confirmation. Your intuition isn't paranoia, it's memory trying to wake you. There's a point in every awakening where the whispers get too loud to ignore. The dreams become clearer, the gut feeling stronger, the sense of déjà vu impossible to shake. You tell yourself it's random, that maybe you're overthinking, but you're not. The universe never repeats itself without reason. Those flickers in your mind, those flashes of emotion that hit without warning, they're not noise, they're navigation. Every instinct is a breadcrumb leading you back to the truth that was buried long before you learned to question it. Imagine this, your life is a movie you've watched 1,000 times, but suddenly a missing scene reappears. One you never noticed before, a small glance, a single sentence, a subtle act that changes everything once you finally see it. That's how the universe reveals truth, not with thunder, but with patterns. It keeps showing you the same signs until you stop calling them accidents. You might dream of faces from the past, hear songs that seem to know your story, or feel an unexplainable heaviness when certain memories resurface. That's not fantasy, it's the veil thinning. It's your consciousness catching up to the truth your family buried in silence. These signs aren't here to haunt you, they're here to free you. The shadows you keep sensing aren't chasing you. They're pointing toward the places where healing still waits. You ask, why now? Why am I seeing this all unfold after so long? Because you're finally strong enough to interpret it. The universe never sends messages to the unready. When you start seeing the patterns, it's not because things are getting darker. It's because your vision is clearing. What once confused you now connects. What once hurt now teaches. Trust your senses, the chills you feel, the moments that stop you mid-thought, the unshakable certainty in your gut. That's truth speaking in a language older than fear. You're not imagining it, you're remembering it. And once you start remembering, the illusion can never hold you again. Number 5. The unrested voices, when justice starts calling your name. The truth doesn't die, it waits. Justice isn't vengeance, it's balance trying to return to the world. There comes a moment when healing alone is no longer enough. The silence becomes too heavy and something deeper begins to stir. A pull, a whisper, an undeniable knowing that you are not just meant to survive this story, but to finish what others could not. The universe has chosen you, not just as a witness, but as a force of reckoning. Sometimes the reason your nights feel restless isn't because you're haunted. It's because truth is trying to wake you. Maybe there's a voice that echoes in your dreams, or a name that lingers in your thoughts for no logical reason. Maybe you keep returning to a memory that never made sense, a death that was explained too easily, a story that felt rehearsed. That's not coincidence, that's alignment. The energy of injustice never disappears. It circulates until someone strong enough steps forward to expose it. Imagine this, a candle long extinguished, yet its smoke still curls through the room, searching for air. That's how truth behaves. It lingers. It doesn't rest until it's acknowledged. And if you're reading this, it may have found you. Perhaps someone in your family was silenced, erased, or betrayed, and their pain still vibrates in the spaces between your thoughts. You carry their strength in your blood and their unfinished story in your intuition. You might ask, why me? Why must I be the one to face this? Because you're the only one who can. The universe doesn't send the burden of revelation to those who fear it. It sends it to those who can transform it. The spirit that seeks justice isn't asking for revenge. It's asking for light. It's asking for truth to breathe again after years of suffocation. The truth is, your awareness is the justice. Every truth you uncover brings balance to generations of silence. You don't need to confront anyone. Simply acknowledging what was hidden already begins to shift the energy. Lies decay in exposure, and darkness loses its footing when seen clearly. You're not haunted, you're chosen to reveal. The pain of the past isn't your prison, it's your calling. And the moment you accept that, the spirit that once cried for justice finally rests, because it knows the right soul heard the message. Number 6. The architects of your pain, when love was just a disguise for control. They didn't break you by accident, they studied how to do it. What they called love was really surveillance wrapped in affection. There are wounds that don't bleed, but still ache every time you try to trust again. The ones left not by strangers, but by the hands that once fed you, the voices that once sang you to sleep. These are the hardest to face, because they blur the line between love and manipulation. You tell yourself they didn't mean it, that maybe they were broken too, but deep down you know better. Some of it was deliberate, some of it was engineered. They learned your fears early, then used them as levers to keep you compliant. Imagine this, a puppeteer smiling kindly while tightening the strings. Every move you made felt like choice, but it wasn't. The guilt you carried wasn't yours, it was theirs, planted and watered until it grew into obedience. You were trained to minimize your pain, to question your instincts, to mistake control for care. That's not parenting, that's programming. And the worst part? They convinced the world that you were lucky to have them. You may ask, was it really that bad? Could someone so close have done it on purpose? The truth is sharper than comfort. Yes, they could. And sometimes they did. Manipulation isn't always loud. It can look like false concern, sound like, I know what's best for you, feel like a hug that tightens just a second too long. For some, it even went deeper, through words meant to distort memory, through substances meant to fog the mind, through gaslighting designed to make you question your reality. They didn't just want control of your life, they wanted control of your perception. Abuse isn't just what they did, it's what they convinced you not to feel. And then comes the betrayal, the unbearable truth that the people meant to protect you were the very ones feeding off your pain. It's a cruelty so personal, it steals language itself. How do you explain the feeling of realizing your mother's comfort was conditional, your grandmother's kindness performative? How do you mourn someone who's still alive but never truly loved you? That's the depth of the wound, grieving what never existed. But awareness is your liberation. Once you name the manipulation, it loses its power. Once you see the betrayal clearly, you begin to heal on your terms, not theirs. They thrived in your confusion. Clarity starves them. You don't need revenge. Your freedom is punishment enough. Every boundary you set is a brick in the wall that keeps their chaos out. Every truth you speak is a light they can't extinguish. They may have written your childhood, but the ending, that belongs to you. Number 7. Into the darkness, where the brave finally rise. The truth isn't what destroys you. It's what frees you from the chains you were taught to worship. You don't heal by avoiding the dark. You heal by learning to walk through it with your head held high. It's okay to tremble here. The air feels heavier, the silence sharper, and every truth you uncover feels like another piece of your past collapsing in your hands. That's what courage feels like, not the absence of fear, but the decision to keep walking while your voice shakes. You were never weak for breaking down. You were strong for surviving what was designed to break you. Imagine this. You're holding a lantern, its flame flickering in a tunnel that seems endless. Every step forward reveals walls etched with the stories they tried to erase, moments you buried, emotions you silenced, memories you were told to forget. The darkness isn't your enemy anymore. It's your classroom. It's showing you where the pain began, but also where the healing hides. You aren't descending, you're reclaiming. You might ask, why me? Why must I be the one to face what generations avoided? Because courage runs in your blood, even if fear tried to disguise it. You're the first in your lineage to look the monster in the eye and refuse to flinch. The universe didn't pick you by mistake. It picked you because you were the one strong enough to break the pattern, to end the silence, to walk through fire and not call it punishment, but transformation. You are not cursed by what happened. You are crowned by what you overcame. The force guiding you, whether you call it the universe, energy, or the quiet wisdom within, has never left your side. Every coincidence, every dream, every moment you thought you were alone was that force whispering, "Keep going." It didn't save you from the darkness because it knew you were meant to master it. You are not a victim anymore. You are the living aftermath of everything that tried and failed to destroy you. You are the silence breaking, the truth walking, the storm learning to speak. And as you step forward now, the dark doesn't close in. It bows before you. Number 8. The truth that heals, when what hurt you becomes what sets you free. The truth doesn't destroy you. It destroys the lies that once controlled you. Every truth uncovered is a fragment of your soul returning home. Truth is rarely gentle. It doesn't whisper. It crashes. It arrives without warning, ripping through illusions, peeling back comfort, and forcing you to face what you were never meant to see. And yet, beneath all that chaos lies freedom. Quiet, powerful, and absolute. The pain you feel now isn't punishment, it's purification. The truth burns, yes, but only because it's cleaning the infection of deceit that's been festering for years. Imagine this, a locked chest buried deep in the ground. Every time you ignored your instincts, another layer of dirt piled on top. Every time you made excuses for their cruelty, another chain wrapped around it. But now, with every truth revealed, you hear the lock loosen. The ground trembles, the chest opens, and what spills out isn't shame or weakness, but fragments of your strength they tried to steal. The truth doesn't wound you, it returns you to yourself. You might ask, why does knowing hurt so much if it's supposed to heal me? Because healing isn't the removal of pain, it's the understanding of it. The sting of truth is temporary. The peace it brings lasts forever. You're not being broken by revelation. You're being rebuilt by it. Every realization sharpens your clarity, strengthens your boundaries, and silences the ghosts that once dictated your choices. The truth has one mission: to make you whole again. As you stand in this light, understand, nothing that's been exposed can control you anymore. The universe, or perhaps something even deeper, has been guiding this uncovering all along. It watched as you doubted, as you cried, as you almost gave up, waiting for this exact moment when you'd finally be ready to see. The protection was never about shielding you from pain. It was about ensuring you'd be strong enough to handle the truth when it came. You are stronger than you've ever realized, not because you avoided the darkness, but because you faced it and chose to rise anyway. Each truth reclaimed is a scar turned into armor. Each revelation is a resurrection. The lies are falling away, and in their place stands the real you, untamed, unstoppable, and finally free. Number 9. The pen that breaks chains, turning your story into power. They silenced you with fear, but every word you write steals their power back. Your story isn't your shame, it's your weapon. Writing is rebellion. It's not just ink on a page, it's truth carving its way out of the silence they forced on you. When you write your story, when you give shape to the pain they buried, you stop being their victim and start becoming your own liberator. Words have energy. Every sentence you release pulls another thorn from your soul. You're not writing to be understood, you're writing to be free. Imagine this. You sit before a blank page, and for the first time, it listens. No interruptions, no disbelief, no gaslighting. Just you and your truth. The page doesn't flinch when you describe the betrayal. It doesn't question your memory or your worth. It absorbs everything, the rage, the grief, the confusion, and turns it into something powerful: clarity. Because when pain is named, it loses its invisibility. When it's written, it becomes history instead of destiny. You might ask, what if my story hurts others? What if it reopens wounds? Let it. Truth isn't meant to protect the guilty, it's meant to free the silenced. Your story isn't vengeance, it's light breaking through years of shadow. And the moment you share it, whether through writing, art, or voice, you become the proof that survival is possible. Somewhere, someone will read your words and finally find the courage to speak theirs. That's how the cycle breaks, one truth at a time. The pen is mightier than pain because it turns wounds into warnings and memories into mirrors. And when your truth hits the air, justice begins to move. Because justice isn't a courtroom, it's a vibration. It's the energy that shifts when the truth finally refuses to stay buried. The universe has a way of restoring balance, exposing the hidden, unraveling the lies. You'll start seeing patterns, people revealing themselves, secrets slipping through conversations, consequences catching up to those who once thought they were untouchable. They acted together once, united in deceit, but now the unity dissolves under the weight of exposure. Their alliance was built on your silence, and your voice just destroyed their foundation. You are no longer powerless. Every word you write, every truth you face, brings the scales closer to balance. The justice that awaits isn't coming for you, it's coming through you. And as you keep writing, keep speaking, keep standing tall, the universe keeps echoing your truth louder than their lies ever reached. That is freedom, that is victory, and it belongs to you now. Number 10. The light returns, the end they feared, the beginning you were born for. They tried to bury you, but they forgot you were made of light. Your pain was never proof of weakness. It was the evidence of your becoming. The storm didn't destroy you. It revealed what could never be broken. And now, chosen one, you stand where few ever do, at the edge of the darkness, staring into the vastness of what's left after the lies have burned away. For years, you carried their shadows like second skin, mistaking the weight for your own reflection. But now, as you look at the wreckage, you realize something extraordinary. The darkness didn't win. It never even came close. Because every scar you carry glows, every truth you faced became a spark, and together those sparks have become the light returning, your light, unstoppable and absolute. Healing was never supposed to be gentle. It was supposed to strip you bare, shatter every illusion, and demand that you rebuild with your own hands. You've done that. You've walked through the ruins of your family's deception, faced the ghosts that wore familiar faces, and reclaimed every part of yourself that was stolen or silenced. You've turned their manipulation into mastery, their betrayal into boundaries, their cruelty into clarity. The universe didn't test you to see if you could break. It tested you to remind you that you can't. Imagine this, a forest after the fire. Everything looks dead, blackened, lost, until you look closer and see green pushing through the ashes. That's you. Regrowth doesn't look graceful. It looks defiant. The same fire that destroyed the old has fed the soil for the new. That's what your healing has done. You didn't come out untouched. You came out transformed. And that transformation is the one thing they could never prepare for. You might still ask, why did I have to go through all of it? Why me? The answer isn't cruel, it's sacred, because you were the one who could carry it and still keep your heart intact. You were chosen not for your perfection, but for your resilience. Some souls come to this world to continue the story. You came to rewrite it. The darkness recognized that long before you did. That's why it came for you so young. It wasn't your weakness that made you a target. It was your potential. The enemy always attacks what it fears the most. And now that fear has been realized because you've awakened, you've remembered, you've become everything they fought to suppress. They see it, the way your energy has changed, the way your silence has become strength. They can feel your freedom like a shift in the air. They can't control you anymore, and that's what terrifies them. The light returning to you isn't gentle, it's fierce. It doesn't just illuminate the past, it burns through it. It brings justice not through vengeance, but through truth. You no longer need apologies or validation. You've outgrown the stage where their approval mattered. You've built peace without permission. You've made joy your rebellion. Imagine standing in front of the mirror now, not the distorted ones they built for you, but the real one. The reflection staring back is unrecognizable to the version that once begged for love that would never come. This version doesn't beg, it commands. It doesn't chase understanding, it embodies it. You've become the balance to their chaos, the calm to their cruelty, the truth to their illusion. You are what happens when pain meets purpose. And this is the final awakening, the part where you stop looking for closure and realize you are the closure, where you stop hoping for justice and realize justice has already begun. The moment you refuse to repeat their patterns, the moment you chose awareness over denial, that was the sound of generational chains breaking. They might not see it, but the universe did. Every step you took toward truth sent ripples through the lineage that once fed on silence. You didn't just heal yourself, you healed backward. You are walking into a new chapter now, and it doesn't begin with fear. It begins with authority. You are no longer the one searching for answers. You are the answer. The truth flows through you now. Every word you speak carries the weight of every soul who never could. Every breath you take is defiance against those who tried to erase you. When you heal, you don't just rewrite your story, you rewrite the bloodline. So let them whisper, Let them wonder how you made it out whole. You don't owe them your pain, your explanations, or your presence. What you owe is to yourself. Peace, rest, and joy without condition. You are free to create without fear, to love without guilt, to live without apology. You are not who you were. You are who you were meant to become before the world tried to dim your light. Imagine the sky before sunrise, still dark, still quiet, but undeniably shifting. That's where you are. The light hasn't just returned. It's growing stronger with every choice you make. Every boundary, every truth, every breath of self-love expands that horizon. Soon, the world that once hurt you will have no place left to hide from your brightness. You deserve to know the full story, and now you do. You've seen behind the curtain, faced the betrayal, carried the weight, and released it. You've earned your freedom, and it doesn't come with thunder or applause. It comes with stillness, a knowing that your soul finally belongs to you again. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of your empire. The empire built on truth, on peace, on unshakable awareness. The universe doesn't owe you justice anymore. It's already delivered it, in the form of your strength. Everything you lost is being replaced with something that can't be taken again. Clarity, self-trust, and the calm that comes after the storm finally bows. The pain that once defined you has now refined you. The child who was targeted became the adult who awakened. The one they underestimated became the one they could never silence. You are the evidence that love, even when buried, always finds its way back to the surface. So breathe, chosen one. Look around you. This peace, this quiet power, this stillness, it's yours now. You've earned every inch of it. You've walked through fire and turned it into light. You've faced the dark and taught it your name. You're not broken. You are the proof that truth resurrects. And as the light returns, remember this. You were never meant to be their victim. You were meant to be their awakening. The storm is over. The silence is broken. The light is home. And now, as we reach the end of this revelation, take a breath. You made it through the storm. You've faced the darkness, uncovered the truth, and reclaimed your light. This is your moment of peace, the start of your freedom. Let the world see the strength they tried to hide. If this message spoke to your soul, show your presence, like this video, subscribe to keep this truth alive, and drop the number 77 in the comments to mark your awakening. Share this message so every chosen one still in the dark can finally find their light.